I invite you to get comfortable in your seat and simply take the breath all the way in and all the way out. And I invite you to notice the boundaries of your lungs as you take that inhalation and exhalation. And noticing your breath moving into the tops of your lungs. And the bottoms of your lungs. Noticing your breath moving through the back of your lungs. Noticing your breath moving into the sides of your lungs. Did you notice a difference? Breath is one of the things that is inspiration. And so we breathe in that divine inspiration and let it come in contact with the physical boundaries of our lungs. And we know that if our lungs don't actually have those boundaries, physically we don't do as well. And so following your breath and noticing the physical boundaries of your lungs, your throat, your trachea, the bronchial tubes, all the little sacs inside your lungs. And noticing the freedom that comes with all of those boundaries in place. How much easier your breath is with all of those boundaries. And if you're having challenges with your lungs at a physical level, invite those boundaries, those physical boundaries of your lungs, to grow into what they are most optimally healthy and free for you. Maybe you notice that your right lung felt kind of rigid. Both of those contribute to a lack of freedom in our breath. Simply breathe into an area that you might have found in your lungs where the boundaries were not appropriate. They were either too rigid or too mushy. And then I invite you to simply breathe into that space, inviting freedom and healthy boundaries for your breath. As you do this, you might notice a sensation of warmth, or maybe you notice some tingling in different areas of your lungs. Maybe you notice that your calves start feeling buzzy. Be here for the next several minutes, and I invite you to explore the borders and boundaries of your lungs. Breathe into the places that feel swampy or rigid, and invite that greater freedom to be more present. Maybe if you notice that the spot you originally got drawn into, maybe that feels like it's doing really well right now. Take a full breath all the way in and all the way out. And ask your lungs if there's another place that could use some more freedom through those healthy boundaries. With the next breath, I invite you to bring one thing to mind. Where if you said no to one little thing, or said yes to one little thing, your sense of freedom would increase exponentially. Maybe it's something with a relationship. Maybe it's simple as being asked to do something differently than you would prefer to do. I invite that situation, that person. I invite that breath of freedom to expand from my lungs to that person or situation, bringing greater boundaries, bringing greater freedom for everyone concerned. And I noticed my spine just got really warm, which is always my sign that my body has accepted this idea for itself. What do you notice in your body right now? And so with the next breath or two, I invite you to simply come back right here, right now, to this time and this place, moving forward into this day, this week, this month, this year, with a greater sense of freedom, because your boundaries have become appropriate. Thank you all for joining me, and namaste.
Meditation is a wonderful way to experience more clarity and peace in your life. Journaling is a powerful meditative practice that allows opportunities for thoughts to be expressed and celebrated, or just let go.
Reverend Laura. Keeping it real, keeping it real, keeping it real, keeping it real, keeping it real with Reverend Laura.
This is Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Las Vegas. At CSL Greater Las Vegas, it is our mission to inspire spiritual discovery through community connection, exploration, and celebration. This mission supports the all-inclusive vision of Centers for Spiritual Living worldwide, in which we envision a world that works for everyone and all of creation. Before we begin this celebration service, let's all join in and sing our opening song together.
Good morning, spiritual family. Thank you for tuning into this broadcast. Right here and right now, we are together in the power of the presence. So wherever you are experiencing today's service, know that we are one as the Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Las Vegas. Throughout this service, if you feel a need for prayer, a prayer and a blessing for you, a family member, or a friend, then please go to our website and select our prayer request. Know that licensed spiritual practitioners are deeply committed to supporting you through prayer. Even as I speak, 2 practitioners are providing spiritual support right now. We thank Madge Castle and Karen Dunphy for holding high watch for each one of us today. Now is the time for our weekly affirmation. We do this to add positivity, gratitude, and inspire a purpose-driven life for ourselves. If affirmations work for you, please let us know. Now let's read this week's affirmation together. I am a stand for freedom throughout our world. I am a stand for freedom throughout our world.
Fill me, God, be thou my grace. Fill me, God, be thou my grace. Fill me, God, be thou my grace. I know God's light shines within me. I know God's light shines within me.
And so continuing in this filling of divinity, and I breathe into that, feeling my connection, knowing the divinity of all that I see, all that I hear, all that I experience, all that I can imagine. And as I know this is the truth of me, so do I know it is the truth of anyone who hears these words at any time. And that truth is, life is right here. God is right here. The light that we are, the light that we shine, is fully present right here, right now. And where two or more are gathered, the light shines brighter. And the filling up happens in more graceful ways. I invite the breath in one more time collectively, all the way in, breathing in divinity, breathing in light, breathing in freedom for every cell, every fiber of your being, and breathing out the freedom and the light and the divinity for anyone else who can accept it for themselves right now. And so with deep, deep gratitude, I simply rest into this knowing, letting it unfold in the perfection of divine, letting it unfold in the perfection of love, of grace. And I simply let it be. And together we say, and so it is.
Fill me, God, be thou my grace. Fill me, God, be thou my grace. Fill me, God, be thou my grace. I know God's light shines within me. I know God's light shines within me. I know God's light shines within me.
Darkness closes in, can't find your way. The doubts you drag along will always seems to say you'll never make it on your own. Remember, you're never alone. Lean into me and I'll raise your strength, and we'll walk on water, and hold out your hand, and I'll raise you up. Let go and lean into me, longing to be filled, peace that overflows. Hear my quiet voice, just be still and know, with every sacred silence, I'm only a whisper away. Lean into me, and I'll raise you up. Gather your faith, and we'll walk on water, and hold out your hand, and we'll raise you up. Let go and lean into me. With every leap of faith, there's a chance you may slip and stumble. Leave what you know behind, on the edge you'll find I'll never leave you alone. Lean into me, and I'll raise you up. Gather your faith, and we'll walk on water. Hold out your hand, and we'll raise you up. Let go and lean into me. Just let go and lean into me.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Sunday morning gathering. I'm Reverend Laura, and it's my pleasure to be the spiritual leader here at Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Las Vegas. If you're watching us live as we broadcast this morning, I'm so happy you've chosen to join us today. Please consider joining us in our chat as we move through our time together. We always love hearing from you. And for those of you that are watching this broadcast at a later time, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend it with us this way. Today, I'd like to send a little gratitude out to our practitioner corps. This amazing group of people are dedicated to holding each one of you, as well as our center, in high consciousness throughout the week. These beloved individuals are here to support you in your spiritual journey. And so if any time you would like prayer, you can always submit a prayer request through the form that's on our website. Or you can reach out to the practitioners individually for prayer and counseling. Their contact information is posted on our website. Today we have 3 practitioners in service. They're Kelly Capsar, who gave us our meditation and invocation, and Madge Castle and Karen Dunphy, who are sitting high watch for us. Thank you all for the amazing work that you're doing for our center and here in the world. Our theme for 2023 is building a community. And for the month of January, we've looked at the ideas of freedom and how freedom is a necessary component, not only for each of us individually, but for everyone collectively, as we move towards this idea of building a community. In the first week of the month, we looked at intention setting and how the very act of setting an intention can bring about a greater degree of freedom for each one of us. And then we talked about taking action on what we're called to do in regards to that intention, and how it can give us a greater experience of freedom, of what it actually means to be free. And for our second week of the month, we looked at how setting boundaries for ourselves can lead to experiencing freedom to a greater degree in our relationships. Last week, we talked about Martin Luther King Jr.'s vision of the beloved community as an expression of true freedom. And this week, we're looking at freedom from a broader perspective and how freedom applies to our CSL global vision of creating a world that works for everyone and all of creation. And so each month is anchored in one of our Science of Mind principles. The principle for this month comes from the Science of Mind textbook, written by our founder, Ernest Holmes. The divine plan is one of freedom. Bondage is not God ordained. Freedom is the birthright of every living soul. All instinctively feel this. The truth points to freedom under law, and thus our inherent nature is forever seeking to express itself in terms of freedom. We would do well to listen to this inner voice, for it tells us of a life wonderful in its scope, of a love beyond our fondest dreams, of a freedom for which the soul craves. Freedom is the birthright of every living soul. The experience of freedom is absolutely vital in our goal of creating this world that works for everyone and where everyone thrives. When I was a teenager, one of my favorite things to do after school was to watch the Star Trek reruns on TV. I was a little young for Star Trek when it first came out in 1966, and so it wasn't until I was older that I could watch it. My little brother and I would come home from school and we would just devour the episodes that were shown on from its 3-year run. We were ardent Trekkies. We could quote all the good lines from Jim and Spock and Bones and Scotty. But the thing I loved most about Star Trek was the eclectic group of individuals who worked on the Starship Enterprise. For me, in the early 1970s, it was amazing to see someone from China working alongside someone from Russia, someone from Africa working with someone from Scotland. All of these individuals working alongside others from different planets, the Vulcans, the Andorians, and so many more interesting people, all of them working for a common goal. And when the Star Trek movies started coming out a little later, they took us back to Earth in the future. And I witnessed for the first time the concept of a world without borders. A world where it didn't matter what country you were born in, where you were educated, what you looked like. Race and gender and religion and political beliefs were no longer used to divide people. People were free to live out their fullest expression of their lives, free to be their authentic selves, free to do the work they were called to do, and to love the people they were destined to love. People were judged on their skills and their content of their character. Now, I know it might seem idealistic, but to me this was very compelling, this notion of a world without borders. The history of freedom in our world is fascinating, to quote Mr. Spock. In the early Chinese dynasties, freedom was experienced by one single individual. Only the emperor was free. In medieval times, freedom was the right of a few aristocratic noblemen. When America was young, full access to freedom was only granted to landowners. And throughout most of the world's history, at least up until the last 100 years or so, half of the human population, all of us who are female, experienced very little freedom over any aspect of our lives. The German philosopher George Hegel describes freedom as our worthiest and most sacred possession. He makes the distinction that freedom is not merely the unrestricted ability to do whatever we like. He calls this type of freedom negative freedom. But freedom is a consciousness, a way of living that has its roots in spirit and is achieved through self-actualization and reconciliation. He says this kind of freedom is realized through the commitment to and the virtues of living an ethical life. The ethical life is the idea of freedom as the living good, the birthright of every living soul, which has its knowledge and its volition in self-consciousness and is achieved through self-conscious action. You know, it would be nice to think that our borders, these artificially drawn lines in the sand, have created greater freedom in the world. And I suppose it has for some, and at some periods of time. It has especially benefited those who wanted to keep the resources on their side of the border and deny access to them to other people. In 1883, a group of a European elite met in Berlin and divided up the entire continent of Africa, creating artificial borders that had never existed before. I just have this visual image of it, this group of people sitting around divvying up the loot because they believed that might was right. And being so sure of their superiority, they created these artificial boundaries with no concern for the people who lived there. When the astronauts look down upon our world, they don't see borders. What they see is a sweeping view of the planet in all of its magnificence. Many of them have reported that they experience a sense of interconnected global consciousness while gazing upon the beautiful blue and green sphere that is our planet. There's a reason they cannot see those borders. All of these barriers, these human-drawn international political boundaries, are artificial and don't show up when they're viewed from a distance. So what causes us to want to divide up our world? You might say it's because we want to experience freedom, but I think it's more along the lines of we don't want to experience fear. So we create an artificial boundary, a line in the sand, and we say, this is mine and that's yours. And then we do everything we can to protect our side of the line from what we fear is on the other side. This past year, I've been traveling to Mexico frequently. And I've had a wonderful time in central Mexico getting to know the people and the culture there. What has been most surprising to me in all of my travels is the reaction that I have gotten from people on this side of the border. I always get a lot of questions about it, and almost all of the questions are based on some stereotype or some perceived fear of what I might be experiencing on the other side of the border. And it really doesn't seem like I can do much to alleviate that fear either. No matter how I answer the question, based on the reality of the experiences I've had there, I'm still getting questions about concern over my safety. I have not experienced any catastrophe. I have not ever felt threatened or in danger. But I keep getting questions about, oh my goodness, is it safe to be there? Can you drink the water? What's happening here? Are the cartels active? I mean, all of these questions that are fear-based, because based on just things that we've heard, and not anything that anybody's experienced in reality, but just based on fear. It's fascinating. So if fear is what is causing us to divide up our world, then what is the solution? The Carnegie Endowment for International Peace offers these proactive strategies to counteract the fears that we have created around other people. The first thing they say is that we should begin to improve the communication channels that we have and create forums of dialogue so that we can begin to know each other. This reminded me of the reconciliation commissions that South Africa held after apartheid and that Canada held for the First Nations people. Get to know the people, hear their stories, understand what other people go through, and we alleviate some of the fear that we have. Another thing we can do is practice empathy and compassion to reduce the long-held prejudices and biases that are based on stereotypes. And maintain respectful interaction with others through nonviolent communication. Another thing we can do is take the opportunity to work on projects together. Building a level of trust by doing something together is a powerful way to begin to understand people. And then finally, find the middle ground. Find those things that we have in common. Find how we are similar instead of different. And we begin to lessen the fear that we have through our understanding of what is. Now, these strategies are straightforward, but they can be challenging to implement. It takes courage and perseverance to overcome any resistance that we feel based on our fears. The fears have been there for a long time. They are societal. It's that race consciousness that Ernest Holmes talks about. things that we don't even know are operating in our lives, but they're very active and they're there. We always have an opportunity to take the time to get to know people living on the other side of the border. You may be surprised by what you find. I love the way the poet Edgar Guest put it. You seldom hate a fellow when you know him very well. You seldom have fear about others when you get to know them. Freedom is the birthright of every living soul. Every living soul. You know, as the dominant species here on this planet, Homo sapiens have, for the most part, only looked at freedom as a human right. Historically, we've given very little consideration to the world around us, except to decide how it benefits us. But if we are creating this world that works for everyone and all of creation, we need to take a look at what we're doing to the rest of the world. It is often said that no one will be free until everyone is free. I believe this idea of everyone extends itself into nature as well. And I'm not sure we'll ever be truly free as long as we hold our natural world captive to the whims and the desires of the dominant species, we humans. I believe our experience of freedom is hindered by our belief in our own superiority, in the belief that our rights and needs outweigh those of the animals and plants and natural environment we all share. Now, I fully realize that we need plants and animals to survive, that we inhabit the natural environment. But I do believe we could all develop a little more consideration toward them and begin to exist in a way that is more humane, more ethical, and more compassionate. And I know that this is becoming increasingly more important as our population grows and we begin to take up more space and more natural resources. The great Albert Einstein wrote, "Our task must be to free ourselves by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature and its beauty." Widening our circle of compassion. You know, there have been a few evolved souls who treated the natural world compassionately. One of them that comes to mind is St. Francis of Assisi, who not only refused to eat any animal, but he would not eat any plant products until they had actually fallen to the ground. He considered plants and animals to be of equal worth as humans. A compassionate soul. One who is dedicated to creating a world that works for everyone and everything. There is a branch of biology called compassionate conservation, and it's based on the universal belief of first, do no harm, and that all individual life matters. Biodiversity is fundamental to survival. All aspects of life should be included in decision making, and that there can be a peaceful coexistence between all species. Compassionate conservation stresses the need for biodiversity, and biodiversity is necessary to sustain any functioning ecosystem, and therefore is necessary to sustain all life. Oftentimes we do our best to eliminate species based on our own needs, based on our own thoughts, based on our own beliefs. But the compassionate conservation approach removes the practices that intentionally and unnecessarily harm wildlife individuals. It's committed to conservation in a more ethically expansive way that incorporates the recognition of the intrinsic value of wildlife, the sentience of non-human animals, the way that they actually think and feel, and the value of all ecosystems and biodiversity contained within each system. A paradigm shift in how we approach other life is vital because of what we're beginning to understand about the cognitive and emotional capacities of other animals and to some extent plant species. We are beginning to see how other animals are thinking, how other animals are feeling, how other animals are reacting to the things that humans have done to their environment. Compassionate conservation offers a bold, inclusive, and forward-looking framework to promote a future whereby humans, wildlife, and nature can all flourish, where we can all coexist. Balance, harmony, and freedom for all to thrive. When we stop dividing up the world and stop thinking about them and us, we actually begin to create a world without borders. A world where all species are considered important, where balance and harmony and mutual respect coexist, where biodiversity is celebrated, and where the desire to be compassionate overrides the desire to dominate. This is how everyone can experience a true sense of freedom. And this is how we create a world that works for everyone and all of creation. So let's take this into prayer. This is our opportunity to sit back and recognize the truth as we feel it welling up inside of us. And so right here and right now, I only see one. I only feel one. I only know that there is one power, one presence, one creative, loving intelligence. I know that that one shows up in a multitude of forms. It shows up as everything that has ever existed and everything that is yet to be. For there is nothing but this one. And I know that this one exists as balance and harmony. I know that it is the flow of life moving through all creation, manifesting itself as everything that has ever been created. I know that that one resides right in the heart of my being, and therefore I know it resides in the heart of everyone else, and that we are all united in this consciousness of one. And so I speak this truth, knowing that there is only this one life, knowing that we can never be separate from it. I know that there is no need to create artificial barriers to promote any one species over the other. I know that the life that we are living here is one of harmony and balance, that each and every species that inhabits this beautiful blue and green planet does so because it is divinely orchestrated to be where it is in this time and this space, functioning fully and perfectly as a representation of that one. And so I know that there is no need to fear the other, because there is no other when we are united in this consciousness of one. Differences are celebrated, not feared, and all of life is respected. And I just give great thanks for this feeling that is welling up inside of me as I speak these words of truth. I give great thanks for the action and the activity of all those beloved individuals committed to creating a world that works for everyone and all of creation. And I release this word into the law, into that creative part of spirit that always says yes, knowing that it comes back fully fulfilled. I let it be, and so it is. Amen. Here at Center for Spiritual Living Greater Las Vegas, we are a mission and vision-driven community. We offer transformative educational opportunities, deep and meaningful moments of connection, uplifting Wednesday and Sunday services. We greatly appreciate your contributions that support the amazing work we're doing here in Southern Nevada. We have several easy ways you can contribute. We have text to give. Simply text the amount of your donation to our text to give number, and you'll be prompted to enter your information. There's a link to our online donation page posted below this video where you can contribute by debit or credit card. And of course, you're always welcome to send a check to our office if that works better for you. All of your contributions go to support the great work that we're doing here in Greater Las Vegas community.
Sometimes in our lives, we all have things, we all have sorrows, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride if I have things you need to borrow, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'd understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong, I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. You just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'd understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Please, if there's a load you have to bear and you can't carry, I'm right up the road. I'll share your load if you just call me. You just call me if you need a friend. Call me. Call me if you need a friend. Call me. You just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
If today's music made you smile or get up and dance, please show our musical guests some appreciation in the comments. And we want to let you know that your contributions are so significant to us. We could not do what we do each week without your love and support. Center for Spiritual Living Greater Las Vegas continues to provide enriching services, transformative classes, and powerful opportunities for connection within our community. Be sure to watch the announcements at the end of today's service for what's coming up in the weeks ahead. Now let's join together in a closing song before our benediction.
You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of spirit on earth, and who I am and all I do is a blessing to the world. We are the hearts, we are the hands, we are the voice of spirit on earth, and who we are and all we do is a blessing to the world, a blessing to the world. We're a blessing to the world.
Well, just a couple of announcements before we finish up for the day. I invite you to join me on Thursdays at 9 a.m. for Keeping It Real. You can always watch it later on. It's on our YouTube channel. Keeping It Real is that time that I go into the practical application of all of these principles and ideas that we talk about on Sunday morning. This is how we really get into the nitty-gritty of applying it in our lives. I'm having a great time doing this series, and so I hope you consider joining me for that. And then those of you that signed up for our new member orientation, that is today at 12:30. If you wanted to join the new member orientation and have not signed up yet for it, you have to do so right now. I will check the sign-up sheet in a few moments and then send you an email with the link. So we've got about 7 or 8 people joining us for our new member orientation to see what it means to be a member of Center for Spiritual Living Greater Las Vegas. And that's at 12:30 today, held on Zoom. Next Sunday at 1 p.m. at the Enterprise Library on South Las Vegas Boulevard, practitioner Kelly Marshall is hosting her Vision Board workshop. Her workshops are great. This is an opportunity for you to take that intention that we set back in the beginning of the month and make a visual representation of it to keep fresh before you throughout the year. So if you haven't signed up for that, you can still do so. It's on our website. And we have some sacred circles that have started to be active again. The Infinite Way book study with practitioner Justin Vogel and Kelly Marshall is on Tuesday nights at 6:30 p.m. If you were interested in signing up for that, again, the link is on our website for you to do so, and you'll receive information about this book study. I'm starting a new book study also in February. This one is based on the newest book by one of my favorite authors, Mark Nepo, Surviving Storms, Finding the Strength to Meet Adversity. So this book is written as he moved through the pandemic, and it's about, excuse me, it is about doing heart-centered work that becomes an antidote to discouragement. And so it's really a great book for us as we're coming out of this pandemic, as this time that we've had together. So I hope you would consider joining me for that. It's going to be held on Wednesday nights from February 1st to March 22nd, 8 consecutive Wednesday nights from 6 to 7 p.m. on Zoom. You can register for that on the website and then pick up the book and join us for this wonderful book series that we're doing. And finally, we have our annual membership meeting on February 26th. This will be held on Zoom and for all active members in our community. So You'll be receiving an email about this in a few days with all of the information that you'll need for that. It's going to be held at 11:30 on Sunday, February 26th. And this is the opportunity we have to talk about the state of our organization here, where we are, how we're moving forward, how our building is coming along, our financial well-being, and what we plan for the future. So I hope you consider joining us for our annual membership meeting. Take a look at our website. Make sure you read the e-blast. There are lots of wonderful things happening at our center. So keep yourself up to date on all of that and join us as you feel called to do so. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Look for those ways that you can create that world that works for everyone in all of creation. They can be very simple ways. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
The monthly publication, Science of Mind magazine, is a treasure to be read and contemplated. Along with in-depth articles, there is a day-to-day spiritual support to be gleaned from its daily guides. Licensed practitioner Lynn Frankenberger hosts Adventures in Faith on Zoom, and you're invited to join in. This is a weekly group discussion that focuses on those daily guides and how to apply them. Check Facebook and our weekly newsletter for more details.
Meditation is a wonderful way to experience more clarity and peace in your life. Journaling is a powerful meditative practice that allows opportunities for thoughts to be expressed and celebrated, or just let go.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. Keeping it real, keeping it real. Keeping it real with Reverend Laura. Keeping it real, keeping it real. Keeping it real, keeping it real. Keeping it real with Reverend Laura.
CSL Greater Las Vegas brings you much of your favorite spiritual music every Friday at 7 p.m. with Spiritual Soundscapes. Enjoy performances from CSLGLV vocalists along with special guest singers. It's music for your soul. Subscribe to the CSLGLV YouTube channel to get a convenient link sent to you for each musical performance. At CSL Greater Las Vegas, it is our mission to inspire spiritual discovery through community connection, exploration, and celebration. This mission supports the all-inclusive vision of Centers for Spiritual Living worldwide, in which we envision a world that works for everyone and all of creation.